My name is Andrew Stotz, and I want to welcome you to Careers in Finance. This is a show where we talk to finance professionals in all kinds of directions and careers and activities to try to understand what's their job, what do they do, and maybe it's suitable for you. And what I love about this show is that I get to talk to people from many different types of directions and backgrounds, from fund managers to advisors to analysts to all kinds of different people. So I want to welcome everybody to the show and also want to encourage you to ask questions, to think about, does this career work for me? Now, I just want to mention that the uh, Careers in Finance is sponsored by Valuation Masterclass Bootcamp. And in fact, I have some coupon codes here. You get $100 extra off with these coupon codes. That's live and student live if you're a student. You just go to valuationmasterclass.com/bootcamp or scan the QR code to learn more. So, welcome everybody to the show. I'm excited because I've got a good friend of mine and a former student of mine, and she's a rock star. And here she is. Her name is Chatchada. Welcome.
Hi. Hi, thank you for having me. สวัสดีค่ะ.
Wadikap. It's great to see you.
I feel
Um,
nervous already.
oh, there's nothing to be nervous about. That's the beauty of careers in finance, is that we're just talking about, our life in finance. In my case, I always say that I had a fun career in finance. I really enjoyed what I did. I didn't have idiots, I had occasional idiots, but I didn't have like really bad situations, and I really enjoyed it. And I know that you're also the type of person who enjoys what you do. So why don't we start off by you telling everybody what is your, introduce yourself, but also more importantly, what's your job?
All right, my current job right now is a financial planner here in Thailand. I hold a CFP. It's like a certificate for being a financial planner. But before we talk about my career, I want to give you a little bit about my background. I graduated from economics. But I never worked as an economist at all. I work in a finance world most of the time of my life. I'm such a real nerd. I like studying most of the time. I enjoy studying. I come from a family that own a business, but normally when I first start my career, I start with my own walk of life. So I try to find a job. So my first job is like finance, of course, but I end up there without any clue. Like my first job, I am a loan officer at the bank here in Bangkok. But at that job, normally we have both sides. One side is like analyzing finance, corporate finance, and another side is like we kind of taking care of client as well. So it's like a job that in between analyst and a relationship manager, that kind of thing. That's actually my first job here in finance world.
And by the way, how did you find that job?
Finding my first job at that time, I was looking for a job that I could improve myself. I just got back from the state at that time. So I looking for any job that I could improve myself, and I have some of the clues that I enjoy business and I enjoy numbers like finance, economics, that kind of stuff. And that job position, they also accept the person who own economics degree as well. So I applied for that job, and but I end up finding out that that job never relate about like econ at all. It's all about corporate finance. I remember like at that time I have no idea about EBIT, EBITDA. I'm an economist. Economists
Mm.
don't know about like EBIT and EBITDA. We only know about demand, supply, and like about the market, etc. So
Right.
that's a first shock for me with finance.
Well, it's also a good lesson for the people who have studied finance out there, or sorry, economics, who say, "Can I work in finance?" And I think you're an example that yes, of course.
Yes, of course, but I'm lucky that that bank, that corporate, they provide like a trainee program. So during the first 6 months, I think I normally at the training program. So we learn about accounting and finance in I think 1 month, so that we have enough knowledge to take care of our client. But I feel thankful for that training course as well, because I gain like concept about accounting and finance from that training.
So now explain to us, what is your job right now? What is your job title, and what is it that you do?
My job title is a certified financial planner here in Thailand. And normally, as a financial planner, we have two categories. One is the client facing planner, a planner who like confront and talking to client. And another one, they have like a back office, a supportive planner who provide data to sales team, most like that. I'm a client facing planner. So most of the time of me, I visit client and talk to client. So I describe myself as an interpreter between analyst and a client.
Interesting. And I know that there's some people that look at CFA exam and they're like, that's too much for me. I'm not that deep and I don't want to be an analyst. But tell us about CFP. Where does CFP come in relation to other certificates or CFA? What do you get from that?
I think CFP and CFA is quite different though. Like CFA is for analysts who like valuation, that kind of thing. Either you valuation a stock or a company or anything, you value something. But CFP is a certificate for a person who enjoy finance, personal finance in particular. Um, but they have one area about investment that you need to know about valuation as well, but you get that kind of concept and talk to a client so that they understand about personal finance. That would be the job of a fight of CAP.
It's interesting because we work in different areas of finance, but we intersect. As you say, we cross over at some points. For me, I'm not so interested in the client, helping the client look at their tax situation, helping them look at their,
Look in the balance sheet, that kind of stuff.
I'm just not that interested in that type of stuff. Whereas I'm much more interested in, how do I think about allocating money? How do I think about, putting money to work? And then generally people who like the way I look at something, they follow that. But I look at what you do, and I looked at your spreadsheets when we did that trip to Phuket, where we were teaching about investing for beginners, basically. And I look at what you guys do, and maybe you could just talk a little bit about that in more detail.
Yeah, but I think it kind of similar at some point. Like you enjoy allocating money to many type of asset class, but here it's like a client also allocate their money, but in a different goals. It's kind of similar at this point for me. And the spreadsheet, it like accounting and finance combined with it. So a client need to have like a good balance sheet and cash flow management, and they also need a good investing and asset allocation as well. So our job is like in the middle, that balance between accounting and personal finance.
Mm. Let's take a moment to just welcome the people that have shown up. I know we've got some bunch of people online, but there's Amit, good to see you, and also Patipat, and uh, he's in the current Valuation Masterclass Bootcamp number 11.
Oh, number 11
11, it's
already.
11 now. All right. And then we also have Supanat, who's also in Valuation Masterclass Bootcamp number 11. And I'm sure we have some other people that are watching. But for everybody on, feel free to ask any questions. Now is the time to learn more about careers in finance. I see also Youssef, good to see you. Yep, welcome. And feel free for everybody to ask questions. So, Yeah, you took the boot camp.
Yes, but before I talk about the bootcamp, I want to add
Mm.
something more about like my job. I think now right now I work here for about almost 8 9 years in as a planner.
Mm.
And one thing that I described that it's my job to add two important assets to a client portfolio. It's not bond, it's not stock. Normally analysts talk about bond and stocks, right? But as a planner, normally I talk about discipline and patience.
Mm.
These are two important asset class that a financial planner add to a client portfolio. A different one. It's like when a client have us, a person like me, normally we talk about discipline and patience. Encourage a client to have more discipline or more patience in their portfolio. We need that kind of asset class as well, I would say.
That's great. Yeah, and one of the things that I always thought about is that I mean, I like to simplify things, and when I look at investing, I think that really the simplest way you could look at investing is that there's really one portfolio, and that is
Ah,
owning all stocks in the world. And if you could own all stocks in the world, you will have completely diversified equity exposure. And then you could also argue that you should not own bonds, you should not own commodities, you should not own gold, you should only own stocks.
mm,
And you should take a very long term view of that in order to allow that to grow for the next 20, 30, 40, 50, 60 years. And when I hear the behavioral stuff where people say, well, this person's low risk, and so therefore they should have bonds, sometimes I feel like it's a game a little bit. And the fact is that when you put someone into low risk instruments and they have a long time horizon ahead, you're exposing them to shortfall risk in the future. How do you deal with that? You know, because as you say, you're trying to teach people discipline and patience so that they don't freak out.
yes, yes. It depends on their goals. Like if they have a lot of time on their goals, normally I try to educate them
Hmm.
slowly. Actually, it's like it, de- it depends on their experience as well. The person who have a low risk profile, probably because their past is quite rough. So I think we need more time to heal that as well. So
Hmm.
we slowly educate them, be patient and be disciplined with them. It's the way that I just handle one case just like that. She
Yeah.
has a lot of time, but she just freak out about stock market. So I slowly and kind of take just only small amount on her portfolio to like ETF or the kind of stuff that I feel safe for me. It's like a safe stock
Yep.
for me. So, but and tell her that we need to be patient and keep promise with me that she will be disciplined. That will be my way to handle this kind of situation.
Right. Let's say hi to some of our others. There's Beer. Good to see you. And also Brett there. Good to see you, Brett. And Ashwin, also another graduate of the boot camp and valuation masterclass, the full one.
Oh,
Now, Yusuf asked a question. I don't really know anything about what Yusuf is asking. Do you know anything about that?
could we learn more how to be financial analyst?
I don't know. FP&A,
I don't know. I know of BNA too.
financial planning and analysis, maybe. Don't know. So, actually, I don't think that this is necessarily a credential or something. I'm not exactly sure.
His job title, I believe.
Yeah. So maybe we can ask Yusuf to clarify a little bit more. Are you talking about a certificate, or are you just talking about what's financial analysis and what's investment analysis? Um, so um, Yusuf says yes, but you got to clarify a little bit, I
It's
think.
a job
Job,
role.
okay,
Yeah,
job roles,
it's a
job
job
roles.
role.
So financial analysis, investment analysis, and financial planning and analysis, I'm not sure, but I can take investment analysis, let's say, or stock analysis where I'm looking at, investing in an individual stock, building a portfolio of stocks, or investing in, certain asset classes. But do you have anything else you would add about it? Not sure.
I just Google FP&A. It's a job title.
Mm,
Financial planning and analysis.
okay, got it.
So
So
it's
we're
like
learning.
way. It's so broad.
So tell me a little bit about, what type of person is suitable for this type of job?
Okay, I did my deep homework about this. It's quite deep actually. I never thought about my career at this way before. I need a skill for this
Hmm.
career. One is profound knowledge in finance, personal finance in particular. But you still need some like a basic finance and investing as well. Number two is communication skill, which I think is required in most of the job here. Even you are supportive planner, you
Hmm.
need to communicate with with your own team as well. So communication skill. And the third would be interpersonal skill. I never know that I have this skill until I took a test. I took a personality test and I kept denying it for a few years that I'm not very good at people, but interpersonal skill, interpersonal skill would be required as a planner. And number four is a plus. If you have selling skill and relationship management, that would be a huge plus in this career.
And I know for a lot of people, they want to go into this type of career, but what they probably get shocked with is that you got to get your clients. At first they're like, oh, I'm theoretical and I'm going to make some portfolios and I'm going to help people, but you got to go out and find those people to help. What's that like, and how do you find clients?
Well, it depends on what type of planner you are as well. If you are like independent like me, you need to find your own client. But if you are like someone who is in a corporate, so either bank or brokerage account, they provide you some client. So you don't need to find your own client. It depends on what type of the planner you
Hmm.
are. But for me, um, normal actually during the first year it's quite rough. I would say it sucks during the 1, 2, 3 years.
Challenge.
It's just big challenge. Um, but after you develop your skill and you see a client more enough, I think the client eventually see the value of your work, and then after that, the word of mouth works after that. So you enjoy after like 4 or 5 years.
Yeah, so for anybody that comes to me and says, I need someone to help me, I always send them to you because it's not my skill and it's not what I do. And oftentimes when I go live and people talk and they ask me, what would you advise me to do in this case? I always say, I'm not your advisor.
Advisor. I hear that all the time. I'm
Yeah,
not your financial advisor. You should talk to your advisor before investing in this portfolio.
yeah,
See?
yeah. Um, and maybe you can just tell us about, how does phenomena work for someone out there who's thinking about, finding a way to get something behind them that they can really use to reach their clients and bring their clients value. What are the choices out there? And tell us a little bit about what you do with phenomena.
Well, Phenomena is like a platform. It's a brokerage startup who sells mutual fund, and they are expanding more products as well in order to help clients reach their financial goals. And we, as an advisor, we are person who facilitate between Phenomena and a client, so they have a smooth journey of investing. That would be how the Phenomena works.
And in that case, if somebody's kind of sophisticated and they like to do it themselves, they're just going to go like to Phenomena website and say, I'll
And
sign up and I'll do my own thing. But there's a lot of people that are say, it's just too much and I don't have time and stuff like that. So what is it that stands out, the type of people that work with you?
Well, it's just back to the word that I say before. If you're a person who like to do DIY portfolio, you just
Mm,
sign up it yourself. You need two important asset class: patience and discipline. You either get it from yourself or get it from your advisor. That would be my thought on this.
mm. It's interesting because I remember talking to advisors in one of the presentations that I did, at Phenomena, where I said, the value of an advisor is during the difficult time. Part of what I have is a framework, and I use my FEMR framework, and it allows me to take some of the emotion out of it, even though, and I always get the question like, what are you going to get out of this? When are you going to get into that? And I always just say, I follow the framework. Do you have frameworks, or do you think
Sure.
about things in frameworks? Tell us a little bit about how you think.
Sure. When the bad situation comes, we all always back to a plan that we first started with a client. So we go back to the plan. Like, what is the plan? What is our plan? So if the plan doesn't change, so be patient and be disciplined on this plan. Otherwise, you change the plan. You change the framework, just similar to the FVMR.
Mm.
I ask client all the time, when a bad situation comes, do you still want this plan and this goal? If not, we can change that, but we change the plan as well. It's
So
something.
I was just teaching CFA ethics at Chulalongkorn University recently, and I was talking about the case where a person works with their advisor to make a plan, and then they come up with an idea that just goes totally against the plan, and they ask the advisor, "Let's do this." So what does the advisor do? Well, part of what the advice under CFA guidance is, you've got to go back to the plan with the advisor and say, well, this doesn't fit the plan, and therefore we need to talk about it. And if you absolutely insist, then we need to modify the plan. And I'll tell you a real life story. Was a friend of mine, Rod, who's a very good friend of mine. He's definitely gotten much older nowadays, and his wife takes care of him, and he's not in very good shape, and he's 80 or something around there. And he insisted to get me on the phone with his wife and say, I don't have much money, Andrew, but I have gone on the internet and I've learned about something called Bitcoin. And I want you to help me open an account and buy some Bitcoin. And I just said, Rod, no, 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 no. And I said to his wife, no, I won't help you. And my advice is, don't buy it, because the volatility of that is just way beyond what you could bear.
True.
So um, that's a little story. I have to give a shout out to my friend, and as you can see, actually, uh, Marvin is the man. So let's just say Marvin is right there, and Marvin's got a great YouTube channel that he does some amazing stuff on investing. Check it
Oh,
out. And
I
he's also
check
been
it
a,
out. Yeah,
yeah,
I
he's
will.
also
I will.
also been a guest on my worst investment ever, and so that's something to watch for. So yeah, have you ever been in these situations where people really are starting to freak out or starting to go against, and then you have to say, "Let's talk about your investment plan."
Yeah. Give it example. A real example is like China stock market. Normally, when Thai people invest in a lot of China stock market, because we are Thai Chinese, look like just like me. I'm a Thai Chinese as well, so
Mm,
we kind of relate to this country at first, and then when we put the allocation to this country, and when things turn out badly, like during recent years, I ask my client most of the time that you still believe in like the story and the plan. We put only 5% in China's stock market, but
mm,
so it's not that huge, but only 5% freak you out. So maybe we need to adjust your like profile as well. Maybe you're not a person who should allocate in country base. Maybe own a lot of stock in the whole world, but maybe that would be the one that suit you the most. So we kind of go back to the plan as well. Like maybe is you put too much allocation to China stock market. But I think 5% would be too low for Thai people. I saw one of my friends' portfolio is like 40%.
I mean, like, and that's a big challenge when you get excited and somebody puts a lot in there, and then you go back. This is the hardest part about any framework is like, oh, if I stick with this framework, you know, do I keep that 40%, or did the 40% break my framework and I should have been at 5% and now I've got to get out?
Yeah.
How do you think about that? And how do you advise people on that?
Ooh, this one is a tough one because you already put 40% in the stock, right? The China stock, right?
Mm,
Oh, if you already did something that out of the plan, I normally suggest you to like go back to the plan first, and then not do your homework and compare the reality to your plan, and see the difference first,
mm,
see the data first, so you make better decision on your portfolio. And when you put too much allocation on something, you either sell it or earn more money and add to your portfolio. It's so adjust so that you can adjust your portfolio back to your plan. You have either one of this choice.
mm.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think that's it's the biggest challenge everybody faces, and that is what to do when you've invested in something and it collapses.
Yeah, and
Mm,
one role of a advisor, I put myself as like one is a brake of a car or accelerator, either one of this role. One client, you probably need to put your accelerator role, so increase their risk level, but one person, another one, probably you need to put on a brake to them because they are too much confident in something.
yeah, and that's where investing. What happens? I see. I was I was teaching last night in the Valuation Masterclass boot camp, and now I have these what I call life lessons. So in each evening, I'll talk about a life lesson. But one of the life lessons that I talked about last night was weak men hold strong opinions. Strong men hold weak opinions.
Mm.
And what I'm trying to get people to realize is that just because you believe in something and you're confident about something does not mean it's right. And I see so many people that they get totally hooked on, China or whatever that next thing is. And then they go all in, which is where I come in with a framework like my FEMR framework. And I say, we tilt a little bit, but we don't go and say, I'm going 50% cash or something like that. That framework prevents us from doing, really extreme moves.
Yeah, and as an advisor, you get a message from an analyst, and you tell a client about that story or that message as well. So you're a person that play an important role to a client because your advice, they believe 100% on your advice at first.
Mm,
And so your advice is the one thing that's so valuable. It's your job, it's your
your
trust.
value.
Yeah, your value that the client trusts you. So I think you need to be careful of what you're saying to a client. Yeah.
Mm. Um, what do one of the hard things in the world of investing is when you're just wrong. You may have done your
I've,
research.
I've been wrong too.
Yeah. And I'm just curious, what have you learned from your experience about how to handle that with clients? Because when you're wrong and you say, okay, I think you should do this, and that doesn't do so well, it happens. Nobody knows the future. So how do you handle that with your clients?
Well, I will first study about that problem first. Is it wrong from me or the situation outer one, the environment around me? If it's about environment, I think I would do some homework and get some expression for a client. So give them some clarity about that situation. But if it really from me, like maybe I'm too confident on something myself, I just admit it.
Mm.
I just admitted that this time I did learn something and I'm really wrong about my advice. Because we are human beings, so I could be wrong sometimes. Yeah. If when I in the industry for like 7 or 8 years already. Yeah.
Mm. One of the things that I've learned is communicate.
Yeah.
And my father, when people would get married and they asked for his, advice, my dad always said one thing, and that is stay involved.
Yeah.
Stay involved in your relationship. Don't disappear. Don't put it on a back burner. Don't run away. Stay involved.
Yeah.
And, by staying involved, uh, you build trust. And I think that that's one of the lessons I've learned over the years is that the hardest time to communicate is when you're wrong or your investment strategy is not working. But it's the most important time to communicate.
A problem defined is a problem half solved. So if you define that you're already wrong and you accept that, you just go to a client and accept that you're wrong. It's already half solved.
It's a little bit like one of the things I've learned about death
Mm.
from experiencing it with people in my family who have passed away is that don't uh, when somebody has somebody who dies in their life, call them.
Mm.
Just call and talk to them. It's even hard for me to do sometimes because you just feel bad and you don't know what to do, but it's the same type of thing where you just really need to go and reach out and talk. And what I learned as a sell side analyst is that fund managers, my clients, never expected that I was going to be perfect. They never expected that I was going to get it right all the time. They know, anybody who's been investing either in the markets or in their own business knows that you're going to get it wrong sometimes. And so they're
Same
not
with
expecting
client.
that.
Yeah.
And tell us about what is your, like, when you look at the future over the next, I don't know, 6 months or year, and you think about what type of advice do you give people these days? I mean, obviously, you've got different clients in different situations, but what are some of the themes or things that you're looking at or your team's looking at that you feel like this is interesting or that's not such a great idea anymore? Is there anything like that that you guys are thinking about?
Ooh, be too much confident at something. It would be some that would be my advice
Mm,
on
mm,
my job, like my career, because things can be go wrong no matter how much you hear about good reason that it will go well.
mm,
Because normally when there's a hype of something, always all the time, but people not normally in marketing situation of selling something,
yep.
so they put a lot of good thing, but then they kind of keep hiding of risks and the one that be should be concerned. So I would say try to look for cons of product as well, because
Mm.
every product have pros and cons. So there's no such thing as like I'm number one for any kind of product. Yeah.
Now we're going to take a sponsor break for just a second, and then we're going to come back, and I'm going to ask you two questions. The first is, what did you get from the Valuation Masterclass Bootcamp?
That I prepare
And,
for that as
and
well. Yeah.
and the second one is kind of like, what's your final advice for young people building their careers? But before we go to that, just hold on, ladies and gentlemen. The Careers in Finance is brought to you by Valuation Masterclass Bootcamp. You can get $100 extra off with these coupon codes. Use live or student live Just go to valuationmasterclass.com/bootcamp or scan the QR code, and we'll see you in the next bootcamp. Bootcamp number 12 starts on November 6th, and we've already got 20 people signed up. So tell us, why did you attend the boot camp, and what did you get from Valuation Masterclass boot camp?
Coming from a student from, I think, batch number 1, I graduated from the boot camp number 1. Like I just say, as a planner, we are in between as an analyst and a client. We have been talking a lot about understanding a client, but I think in Valuation Masterclass is like I understand an analyst more, what their job and what they do. Normally, we have like a meeting with an analyst, but I never understand them 100%. So after taking a Valuation Masterclass, I kind of understand their job and what they need to do on that portfolio or on that valuation. So I kind of understand them. So if when I understand someone better, I get a better message from them as well. So I can talk to a client even more better, even better.
Boot camp number 1 graduated in September of 2021. Amazing. Yeah. And
yeah,
and
I remember that during that time that I took the boot camp, I kind of in a dilemma of CFA and CFP and that kind of stuff because I want to be better in what I do. So I even asked you that should I take the CFA exam? Do you remember that question?
Yep, I remember that.
Yeah, because I want to understand about investment better. So I asked you that should I take the CFA exam, and then you said this is just what I gonna do after I got the CFA exam. And I said to you that I will go back to a client because I enjoy a client facing job. And then you said that I shouldn't take the CFA exam because it's another walk of life.
Yep.
It's not something that would add on to my career as a CFP, but it's another thing. If I want to switch the line to analyst, it's probably a good thing that I do to take a CFA exam. But if I want to go back to the line of CFP, sorry, then just take this career and gain more experience. That would be your answer. I think that session is so valuable to my life, actually.
The one-on-ones that we do in the boot camp, which is great. It's my favorite part. I want to introduce you to one of our alumni. Her name is Mercy, and she's from boot camp number 7. And Mercy, this is Chatchada, who's boot camp number 1. And Mercy went on to do Valuation Masterclass Professional and really did a great job in it. So it's good to see her there. So let's wrap up by you giving your advice for a young person who's starting their career in finance or building their career in finance. What's some of the advice that you give them?
All right, my advice would be based on the word career in finance. The one word is career. So my definition about career is not a job that you just do day by day. It's a thing that you aim, not it's not a thing that you aim at the highest compensation. Because for me, a career is something that integrates with my whole life. So I think you probably keep looking for a job that you enjoy and pay a decent compensation. That's enough for me for the word career. And finance is the world of future. It's about forecasting, predicting, planning. So when you say future, so there are plenty of risks and uncertainty. Don't be so sure about something and anything. When you say about finance, be prepared to be wrong at any time. It's always ups and downs in this kind of walk of life. So that would be my advice to them. Yeah.
Fantastic. Well, it's great talking to you, and I appreciate that you share your experience. And
It's an honor to be here. Thank you for having me.
yeah, and I want to say boot camp number one was really special. It was the time that we really kicked off the boot camp live. Boot camp zero was when we did it in my house. And yeah, I mean, we had an amazing group of people in that boot camp number one. And I think about Tossaporn as another example of someone that was in there. And it was just such a great time. And boot camp has just continued to evolve. Now we operate in teams. The work in the boot camp is so much more laid out. We have assignments that we give on Mondays, and then we have Feedback Friday, where we have structured feedback for everybody on the work they're doing. They work on the companies from day one. They're assigned the companies so that they can develop over time. And recently we've added in a buddy system where we're trying to get them to connect. And so buddies are introducing buddies each night when we meet. So many innovations going on in the boot camp, which is just, for me, so fun. So anyways, I just want to say, keep being awesome to you as well as, you know, all of the graduates from boot camp number one, and it's great to watch everybody's progress. So I'm going to wrap it up. I'm going to show that screen, but I'm going to take you off, and I'm going to talk to you for a couple of minutes afterwards. But
Okay.
any parting words you want to share?
Um, be yourself. Be awesome. Thank you. Stay
Perfect.
connected.
Yes, right on. All right, ladies and gentlemen, that is another edition of Careers in Finance. And wasn't that a great one from Chatchada, where we talked about, her career and how that's different, for instance, from my career. And the main lesson I take from that is for everybody to build your own career that's suitable for you. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining Careers in Finance, and I'll see you next time. Have a great